of victory and the agony of defeat.
Madison, great ball around the corner, Petticini, he beats them all! Junior Polar out wide, bumped away from Trindle, Sharks coming through, none of them can hold this!
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for bearing with us for a bit of a later instant reaction podcast than we usually have with that doubleheader at CommBank Stadium. Glad to have everyone here on board. As always, I'm your host, John, also known as 4020. And if I can get my Discord working to get the big fella back in here, joining me is my good mate Craig, but he's not turning up. Let me try this again. Let's see what's happening here. I'm not sure why it's not working, Craig. You are here though. There he is. There he is. There he is.
I'm here.
We're getting through all the technical difficulties, you know, a year into the live streaming and whatnot. Thank you one and all for joining us. I see chat's been popping off for good reason. That was a sensational way to finish the season. I dare say the 2026 intros, we're going to feature a couple of clips from this game. Some of the razzle-dazzle tries the Parramatta Eels put on route to absolutely towing the hapless and rather, I feel bad for them, Newcastle Knights.
I know, John.
Stadium.
Can we just repeat it again? 66-10. Let's just enjoy it for all it's worth. They're lucky that we didn't put 80 or 90 on, in all seriousness. When we were 50-4 up with half an hour to go, I honestly thought we could hit 80 here. Seriously.
The clock was in danger at one point, and we left about 4 or 5 tries out there. Poor Will Pennicini had a couple that he'd probably want back. Still got on the board by way of the video ref. But yeah, look, we've got a lot to talk about. Big wins in the NRLW and the NRL. Some results in the juniors, lower grades as well. And yeah, just, I don't know, like there is a whole sort of storybook element to Parramatta season, Craig, that we'll get to while we do not just this podcast, but in our wrap-up of the season in the coming weeks and podcasts. But to think that we started with having 50 points put on us in round one, and then we went full circle to putting 60 on the opposition. I know we put 60 on Tigers last year too, but there was a difference tonight, wasn't there? Like last night, it was Eels fighting tooth and claw to avoid the spoon last year, sorry. And today it was making a statement. And yeah, there is a lot to break down from this one. But before we do get into the footy talk, there is a little bit of housekeeping to do as always. A shout out to the sponsors of the show. We caught up with Greg today. Greg today was really good actually in Stelwos, having a little, so not a farewell, but a little season wrap up with him in Stelwos before the show. And of course, he represents Star Partners Real Estate, Auburn, Rowan, and Parramatta, who have been pretty much day one sponsors of both the podcast and TCT in general. And of course, we're at Stelwos, home of the Parramatta Eels there at PLC. Had an awesome crowd there. I know that I saw, where is he? I saw Carl in chat there. We caught up with Carl and a few others. I saw Dave and Sophia. We saw Jeff and his daughter Haley, and a couple others too. Bill, Bill was there too. When I came in, he was chatting to you. Had a ton of people come up and say hello. Really good show, really good energy in it.
Adrian
too. Yep.
One of the Eels. Well, I'm going to say he's a bit of a famous rock star, Adrian
from Avalanche.
He was from Avalanche, a band, a 70s band, and the Avalanche name is still going strong with Adrian's son.
The mantle has been inherited.
His son plays the Australian pub and club circuit. Also, they're pretty big over in Japan.
That's a great. I tell you what, you talk about niche markets to crack. Japan is a great market to be, kind of big in. That's awesome.
Oh, look, I love watching the videos that the Avalanche band post from Japan, because the Japanese audience, as you said, they really get into their rock music, and this is like some heavy rock that they play, but they keep the Avalanche name alive. So it was good to have Adrian there. And, just a great day in Stirlos, followed by a great day at CommBank Stadium. And
the crowd was 23, just under 23 and a half. It was rocking at CommBank today, though. Everyone brought their A games from the stands, and the players really reverberated with it. Like, you could just feel the energy going from east to west, north to south across the stadium. It was very, very good. Great way to sign off on the season.
I couldn't really see close up where we were up in the stands. But did Dylan have a tear in the eye as he was walking around the field?
I think there was maybe some waterworks going on there. It was a very bittersweet affair for Dylan, wasn't it? He opened up the scoring. He got a mulligan, but he got a chance to kick a goal as well at the end. And look, in a day where pretty much everyone started, he didn't have to do too much work. So he didn't have to go out there and be man of the match as I tipped in the pregame, but still had a decent game and a really nice way for him to sign off. And I know.
Did you tip him as first try scorer?
No, I did the reverse. I had Will Penasini first try scorer, Dill man of the match, going for the 2 milestone and farewellies there. And instead, Will was LTS last try scorer, again, by virtue of the video ref, and Dill for FTS there. So didn't quite get it right. But yeah, everyone's here in chat as well. So likes and subscribes, the usual YouTube BS, how it always goes, the plug of the algorithm there. So much appreciated there, guys. And,
who have we got there in chat, by the way?
Well, Carl has said hello there. It was great to catch up, mate. But we've got Ben Johnson causing havoc as always. Paul, Jason Newman. I see Mitchie's there, mate. Good to have you in there. There's Jason. Rachel, good to have you in, Rachel. Hope you're having a good time. Chris Hill, Michael Byrne, Paul McMullen, Seb Baird, Mitch C. We got Neil Ross, Chris E., Andrew Collier. Kix was there from the start. I saw you celebrating, mate. Yeah, great energy. Neil Ross is there as well. There's Lisa. Maddie, good to catch up, Maddie. I'm glad your young man had a fantastic weekend going to the training session and getting to meet the Eels of a young lad. That was fantastic. Who else? There's also just Chris, the other Chris, as we like to joke. Plenty of regulars. And I saw John Rich with the legendary multi. He of all the things to do, he backed all the Eels nudie runners to get on the scoreboard today in a multi, and it came good.
Must have made a monster.
What a legendary multi, eh? That is awesome, mate. So well done on that one there. And
John, can I just do a shout out? I was talking to an Eels supporter, Rick from Liverpool.
Yep.
And he's new to the Cumberland Throw. He's going to jump on and have a bit of a listen and a watch on the podcast. So shout out
if you've got a YouTube account, mate, Rick. You can jump in the chat and say hello and join everyone else here. I see, there's Dave and Mike as well. Good to have you on board, boys. There's Matt as well. Yeah, can the 2026 season start already? That is the subtitle to this podcast, 100%. When does the 2026 season start? Good Lord, we need it. We need it yesterday. And look, I figured that since it's such a big win, here to share some exclusive pre-game speech from Jason Rolls. So you haven't even heard it, Craig. This is how exclusive it is. No. But this is direct from the Eels training room ahead of their game against the Newcastle Knights.
The time has come. Execute Order 66.
Really inspiring stuff from Darth Riles there. He put the Eels on Order 66 and they went out and delivered. So that is why the Eels went on to post that 66 points against the Newcastle Knights today. But let's start talking footy. Got all our pre-game or podcast preamble out. What do you want to talk about, mate? Because I don't know. 66 points, two haddies.
I do want to put the instruction out to everyone in chat. Throw in your one-liners, what you have to say about the game, and also start thinking about your 3-2-1s because
people were queuing up for that already.
I don't know how we're going to come up with a 3-2-1 in this one today. It's phenomenal performances right across the field. John, let's talk about this journey that we've had, and we'll touch on it briefly because you spoke about it right at the start. Come full circle. Well, no, we've done a 180, really, haven't we?
done the 360, the 360, and then another little half turn, as you like to joke.
Yeah. So to have such a bad start to the season, and to finish the season with the 66 points thrashing of the Knights, it was joy. Anyone that wasn't there this afternoon, man, did you miss out?
Of all the games this year, and look, the Roosters game was fantastic, wasn't it? I mean, big upset there, but this was just, the crowd was in everything today, and the players responded. Like I said, they reverberated, and CommBank, that was probably as energetic as CommBank has been since the 19 final against the Broncos, I feel like, where the house that day was just insane. And that was one of the most historic moments for the Eels in terms of the finals going and absolutely pasting the Broncos in that, was it week 1 final? I believe it was a week 1 final there. And that was maybe the best it's been since, which is phenomenal considering it wasn't even a full house.
1 minute. 1 minute was all it took for that first try, John. Dylan Brown. Look, there was so much to like just in that first try alone. And
how many forwards in the code can do the offload that Junior did in that sequence? It's got to be on one hand you can count. The ability to hold the ball up like that and get it around a defender, that was a real Junior special. And Charlie Geimer putting it on a platter for his co-captain, one of the big leaders of the club there, to get him off the nudie run list. I think maybe Junes might shout him for a barbecue.
Look, he definitely should. But, I mean, we're talking about 2 trebles today. Mitch Moses, Josh Addo-Carr. Look, I want to talk about Josh Addo-Carr right now because he's added an extra dimension to the Eels this season. We've been blessed with wingers over the years that bring the crowd to their feet. The Fox brings the crowd to their feet even when he's not on the field.
Yep.
Like, he's just one of these people that just engages everyone. He engages his teammates. He engages fans. He engages the sponsors of the club, the media. And today, man, that was... He actually has to feature in the 3-2-1. Like, he really does, because those tries that he scored were phenomenal tries. And as I said, we've been blessed with wingers, but we've had those powerhouse wingers. In the Fox, we've just got pure, unadulterated speed and footy smarts with it. He's got those footy smarts.
I mean, he's almost like a bigger, faster version of Luke Burt in that regard, who was probably the last speedy winger that we had that was at least a fixture on a flank. Since then, the Eels have had, workhorses and absolute powerhouses, and then the freaks like Semi. We haven't really had a genuine speedster, and he's just, what a breath of fresh air he's been for the Eels down that left edge. And it was great to see both he and Russell in full sync today. And that obviously led to, I think, the Hattie try for the Fox, where it was just a simple case of hands. But we saw an audacious chip and chase. We saw the full bag of tricks for the Fox. It was very, very good.
Yeah, and you mentioned him just then, Shawn Russell. What a season he's had as well. He didn't start the season with too many that you would say were particularly big fans of his. He was probably regarded as the odd man out in the back line, where he would be considered as a winger and might have been squeezed out by Bailey Simonson. Instead, he's made the centre position his own, because we were expecting Zach Lomax to play at centre, and we were expecting that the wingers might be the Fox and Bailey Simonson. Yeah. But of course, with the injury to the Fox at the start of the year, then we had Shawn Russell playing out there on the wing, and he ends up getting that centre position when Zach Lomax has moved out to the wing. And he's really gone from strength to strength. He's been Mr. Consistency. He's probably without... he's almost the sort of player that the Melbourne Storm would love in their back line. Just a consistent player.
There is so much about Russell that screams Melbourne Storm system, the kind of back they love, that they sort of just bring in and build up and turn into a really quality first grader. And we've seen that this year. Jason Riles has given a real vote of confidence in Russell. And, he's not going out there tearing teams apart, but kind of like Nick Meaney and whatnot, he is really building into it and having a great year. You keep talking about, give me 1 second, I've got to deal with my dog. Sorry.
The other player that I wanted to mention, of course, was Mitch Moses. That first half that Mitch Moses delivered was absolutely something else. It was a masterclass of the first half. And not to say that the second half dropped off in any way, shape or form, but what Mitch Moses was delivering out there, like, he was just conducting the orchestra in that first half, but not only conducting the orchestra, he was then basically taking lead violin at different times. For example, he was just. It was one of those. It was one of those games where you just thought. At first, you think, how would the Eels win without Mitch Moses? And then as the game went on, we got to see, what some of the other players were going to be delivering. But the start of the game was just phenomenal.
I mean, the start of the game was a personally penned letter to Kevy Walters saying, I'm ready. I'm ready to go on that tour. We saw the full bag of tricks. We saw the finesse
absolutely.
and the control. We saw the ridiculous speed. Like just the vision instantly to spot that Lomax had given him a quality play of the ball in his own red zone, get out, and the confidence to just burn Fletcher Hunt. Like Fletcher Hunt he's not a slowpoke. And yeah, the only thing he did wrong there was he didn't bring it around for poor Zach Lomax.
Oh.
Almost all the other tries were scored near the post today. Not all of them, but most of them. And Mitch just planted it in the corner.
Maybe he just run far enough, John. or it might have been a bit of banter between him and Lomax.
Lord.
Not going to make it easy for you, mate.
I love that it was the direct.
You get paid the big bucks to kick the goals.
That was the opposite corner of when he did the 20-meter restart try, wasn't it, against the Tigers? That was in the western corner, opposite side, and this one was here in the eastern corner. So, yeah, he's got highlights across both corners now.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got. I just had a message sent to me. We've got Rick from who I met after the game today. He's in there. He's put out a thanks for the mention. So glad you could join us, Rick. Thanks for discovering. Jumping on to TCT after today.
Good
really
to have you
appreciate
on board, mate.
joining us. Yeah. So, John, what about the performance of Riley Smith today as well? I said to you after the game that we had that period of time where we sort of dropped off in that 50th minute where we hit. It was the 50th minute where we hit the 50 points.
And then Riley gets rested. Talon D'Silva thrown into the fray. And thankfully for Talon, he eventually found his tempo and had a great impact on the game. But there's no doubt that there was a rough transition there. And it's not the first time we've seen it this year. And I think more so than perhaps any other player on the roster, Talon D'Silva stands to benefit the most from a preseason properly integrating into the structures that Riles and company have here. But yeah, Riley Smith is the standard setter for the Parramatta Eels. He really is. Like the tempo and the defensive intent all feed off his energy. And increasingly the attacking tempo now is starting to work around him. He had a couple of really nice runs, 3 runs for 31 metres. He had a great try. He was in everything today. And one thing I noted was he didn't have to do as much work out of marker on the 5th tackle this week because it's almost like his energy's been infectious. Like I said, multiple players were picking up the slack and getting out of dummy half, putting pressure on the Newcastle kickers. So, like I said, he has set the standard. And even as a young player, and the rest of his teammates are really starting to respond now.
Yeah. Look, I think Riley does see himself as a leader. And I think he has that potential to be a future captain of the Eels because he is one of these blokes that does the 1%ers. He leads by example, and he's a good communicator out there on the field. And as you said, John, we went through a bit of a rough patch when the dummy halves were swapped, but it was good to see Talon D'Silva start to get into the rhythm of the game and then was able to have his influence later with setting up a few breaks, getting a try for himself. I will give myself a bit of credit there, John. I turned to Clint just before Talon's try and I said, he's going to go himself here, mate. It's try time. And bang, you just see there was just enough of a gap there that you thought, Talon's eyes are going to be, bulging like big dinner plates, seeing that little bit of space there.
Look, he probably deserved it more for the other run that he had, the one that set up the Will Penasini penalty try. That was a phenomenal run. But the one he scored there, Newcastle just completely checked out. He just jogged through. It was ridiculous.
Talk to me about Newcastle, John. We were expecting that maybe they would have arrived, knowing that they'd been pushed into the spoon position by virtue of the Titans win yesterday, that they're fired up to avoid the spoon. In fact, it ended up the opposite. They, like you said, they checked out. Like they really did. It was a great win by the Eels. We just absolutely smeared their noses in it today. but there, that was. We talked in the pre-game about the loyalty of Newcastle supporters, the loyalty of Eels supporters, and that phenomenal achievement with Eels supporters having nearly 37,000 members this year. Big crowd there for the last game of the season. But we also acknowledge that the Knights always seem to get close to full stadiums up there at Newcastle, no matter where they're coming. Their supporters don't deserve that sort of performance in the last game of the season. That was pretty ordinary from them as well. As much as it was exciting, exhilarating football from the Eels, and we tore them to pieces.
There were moments the Eels weren't out of third gear in some of those tries. Like obviously early in the sequencing they're playing really good football, pedal to the metal, but in that second half where that lull sort of crept in and then they scored the late flurry. Again, unfortunately for Newcastle, they did have something to play for. Like avoiding the spoon is a legitimate reason to turn up, but as Chat's talking about, maybe the players had sort of already maybe put the cue on the rack for Adam O'Brien, and the Eels really seized the momentum there and stuck it to them. And like you said, the the clock was in danger by the scoreboard at one point, 50 points in 50 minutes, and then the Eels plateaued a bit, but they still finished with great momentum. So. Yeah, look, individual efforts across the board here. I see some love for Azara Yongi's defense. Yeah, the few times that the Knights did rustle up something, Yongi did a great job cutting them down at the back. The only thing he didn't do right today was getting on the scorer sheet because he was helping create tries for everyone else. But yeah, with two Hatties between Mitch and the Fox, it was kind of a premium was placed on tries despite 12 of them being scored. Half of them got cannibalised by a very greedy halfback and a very greedy winger.
Yeah, we had 61% of possession.
That feels not. I mean, it's a lot of ball, but it doesn't feel like that much ball relative to the scoreline. But yeah, at one point I joked to Mitch, who was sitting behind me, that the Newcastle Knights must be employing a bold new strategy of just giving us all the ball and letting us tire ourselves out, and then eventually we'll just run out of energy and stop scoring points, which. It worked for a little bit in the second half, but then the Eels got their second win.
Ineffective tackles, missed tackles. The Knights seem to have it all. The only thing is, I think what saved them was we made a few more errors than what they did.
Yeah. Completion rate for the Eels was solid, but not spectacular, 76%, 35 of 46. But we were very guilty of pushing the passes at some points, getting it a little bit. Look, cocky is probably not the word, but we were certainly embracing the flow of the game. And then missed tackles were, if anything, maybe a little bit benevolent on the Newcastle Knights, mate. And this is something you always bring up, that you don't get charged for a missed tackle if you don't make the tackle attempt at all. And that happened to plenty today. So Newcastle 44 missed and 22 ineffective, topping the Eels on both fronts there pretty comfortably. But maybe not being charged with all of the ineffective and missed tackles they could have been by virtue of not even touching the Eels on several occasions.
I've got to mention some of the run meters, John. Isaiah Yongi, 168. Zach Lomax, 212. I thought there might have been about an extra 50 on that with Zach Lomax, the amount of work that he was doing. The Fox, 193. Jermaine Hopgood, 113. I thought it might have been a bit more than that.
Yeah, that feels a little bit skinny for Jermaine. He was very good.
Yeah.
Look at Junior's numbers.
Junior
awesome.
Doesn't surprise me, 159. Yep. Kelmer, 132. Jack Williams, 192. So, some big numbers there from some players who might just feature in the 3-2-1s.
Plenty of worthy contenders for the points this week. And also some guys like Charlie Guymer, with his 84 metres, doesn't really do justice to some of the quality runs he had there.
John, can I just mention tackle breaks? Zach Lomax, 13.
Good Lord. 6 for Yongi, 4 for Dylan Walker there, 5 for Talon D'Silva. He racked them up at the end. And then multiple tackle breaks for Penasini, Addo-Carr, Dylan Brown, Riley Smith, and then also Matt Dury and Charlie Guymer. Matt Dury also very good off the bench as well. Not big numbers, but love his impact, and he got a bit of love and chat as well. Zach Lomax, again, I had a lot of fun with the banter today, mate. It felt like he was a video game character in like Street Fighter, just like spamming that one button combo. You know, when you just like you punch someone and just keep punching them and keep punching, using the same move, and they're getting upset because it keeps working. That was him on his kick returns. He just kept doing that little jink to the left, and no one in Newcastle could tackle him. So, He had a fantastic game, great under the high ball. That short kick he regav and then the audacity to get that offload away. We talked about going with the flow and being a little bit audacious at times. That was ridiculous. He was really enjoying it out there today.
I want to talk Dylan Brown, John. It was, look, I'm sure I'm not mistaken. There was a lot of love for him in the stadium today.
Yes,
I think
the fans definitely turned up the volume for him, both for the tries and for his post-game interview with the Para Plus crew there, the club's media department there, and so it was a really nice send-off, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think fans have come full circle from the start of the year. Well, again, no, not full circle. They've done a 180 from the start of the year, because there was a lot of criticism of Dylan Brown. A lot of people wanted him out of the team. A lot of people wanted him out of the club as soon as he made the decision to move on. We've had Jason Riles talk quite effusively about what Dylan has continued to bring to the squad, even during the period of time where he wouldn't select him. And he's been able to give him the farewell at home that he's deserved. And as I said, there was a lot of love for him out there at the stadium. It was so good that he got the do-over for the kick at goal after making a complete balls up of a relatively simple conversion. And as we know, Dylan used to take some shots at goal in lower grades and juniors, but he was always a reluctant goal kicker, we'd have to say. Not that he hasn't. He does like to have a bit of a poke at the goal kicking at training, but
he had to be egged into it, had to be coerced into it by his teammates for the first one, and then obviously the second one with the penalty try going to Will Penasini made it a little bit simpler, and thankfully he potted that one. Although ironically, probably would have been a more memorable moment if he missed a one from in front. But thankfully he got the try and the conversion to finish his career as an Eel. Who knows what could lay down the path with the way the NRL works. Finish at least this chapter of his time with the Parramatta Eels.
What do you reckon Mitch Moses said when it was almost full time, and he went down and spoke to the Newcastle captain?
I think he offered I say mercy rule. I think he offered the opportunity for mercy. He said, if you kick it long, we'll just run the clock. That was the way I interpreted his gestures and how his body language was. I mean, Newcastle had been battered and beaten bloody enough at that point, and even with 15 seconds on the clock, I think the Eels offered an olive branch there after all was said and done.
Well, no one wanted a last-minute injury as well.
No, exactly. Last thing you could do is finish the season with a stupid injury off, a literal not even a dead rubber game, but a dead rubber play inside an absolute bloodbath.
Yeah. So, any other individuals that you wanted to talk about, John?
Let me have a look at the team list quickly. So we've covered most of the back line. We talked that we could go on about Mitchell Moses because he was that's a 6 Dally point game in my honest opinion, and he was just on another level. Riley with the love, Junior, Kelmer. Kelmer's had a really good end to the season, Craig, and Newcastle barely kept a lid on him this entire game. There was about 4 or 5 half breaks he made, but it was just little ankle biter tackles at the end that dragged him down. Jack Williams, phenomenal. I think that's, I don't know, chat. Is there anyone that you feel we should shout out? Because I feel like we've given love to pretty much everyone at this point. I'm just trying to think of individual moments that stood out to me. We talked about the Moses try, Junior's involvement in the Dylan Brown try. The touch on Mitchell Moses' kick for Josh Addo-Carr. That little chip kick ahead was just perfect. I don't know. I feel like that's most of the individual players I'm happy to talk about there. Again, if chat's got any parting thoughts on individual efforts, Kelmer looked more dangerous without his headgear. He looks mean without his headgear. I love the braided look with no headgear, and I know he's partial to that piece of protective piece on his head, but I would like him without the headgear next year. Peter Zeb wants Dory to get a bit of love. Yeah, look, Dory's carved out a fantastic niche on the interchange, hasn't he, Craig?
Matt Dory could always run a good line.
Yes,
that's something that
a great feel for what it takes to run those lines. But his biggest issue has been staying on the park. That was honestly the biggest thing that held him back as a Parramatta Eel and as a Bulldog before that, and then as a Parramatta Eel as a junior, by the way. But yeah, he is going to be so. I mean, there are going to be more than 17 players that deserve being picked come round one next year, and that's a great
John,
problem to have.
We've got that cliche that we can throw out there: the best ability is availability. Yeah. That's so true of so many different rugby league players, talented rugby league players. I think the classic one really is Turbo for Manly.
Yeah, could have been a generational player, and he still had a fantastic run. Was it 21 he got the Dally M, where he went on an absolute tear? Whatever year it was. But he has not been available. He has not been near his best, and he's going to be perhaps the biggest what if of not just Manly but of this generation. I'm trying to find a picture of the.
See, this makes it really interesting. And I know this is probably a topic for the a season review or maybe even a season preview, but we've got some interesting choices that Jason Wiles is going to have to make when, first of all, there's a full squad available, and secondly, when the roster is complete for next year, because we know that we've got Jack de Belin coming to the club. We suspect that the Eels might look at adding a forward or two and maybe an outside back or two. I'm not talking about big name signings or anything like that, but they do have to add to the roster because we saw that list of farewells that came out this week. The players that are no longer going to be at the Eels anymore. We know the players who had already left during the season, and they haven't included in that list Ryan Madison and Brendan Hands because obviously they're technically on loan. They haven't had anything made definite for next season.
Leeds have farewelled Ryan Madison. He was part of their outgoing end of season departing list. So not doesn't necessarily mean he's coming back to Parramatta, but it means that he's not staying at Leeds. So Leeds? It wasn't Leeds. It was what was the club? God. Sam Burgess's club.
Is it Castleford?
Ryan Madison is playing for. Chat, help me out here. I'm an absolute flog right now. It is Warrington. It was Warrington.
Okay. Yep. So, and of course, we don't know what's going to happen with Bailey Simonson.
Not on the list, but of course there are some mechanisms there in terms of being a contracted deal that maybe preclude him from being part of the departing list right now. So we have to wait and see what happens there. Can bridges be mended? Will he stick around? That obviously solves a lot of the issues in the backline depth too, or competition, if he does stick around. But there's a lot to happen there, so we have to wait and see.
And we don't have destinations as yet for some of those departing players. Woody looks like he's retiring. Hayes Dunster, well, gee, he's got a tough road ahead with Achilles injury will probably keep him out for most of next year in rehab. And at the same time, he's trying to find a new club. Well, I don't know what the chances of a club picking him up when he's doing such rehab going into next year. Of course, we hope for the best for Hayes because he's been most unfortunate when it comes to injuries, when he was destined to probably have a long first-grade career at the Eels. So we do wish him well. A little bit surprised to see Dan Keir moved on. I thought he might have been kept around because
I think first grade opportunities have probably passed him by at Parramatta, but he's a great piece to have in the New South Wales Cup for the experience and leadership. And I'm a little bit surprised to see him moving on there, but maybe he's got a better offer somewhere where he can pursue an avenue back to first grade.
Well, you know what? If I'm a Super League club, I'd be looking at making an offer for Dan Keir.
Oh, he'd be fantastic.
Maybe because I know BA thought a lot of him, so maybe he might reach out and sign him for over there at Leeds. So, John, when it comes to as I said, the roster moving forward and the choices Jason Wiles is going to have to make, he's going to have some big choices with the back row for a start. This is without extras being added, because we've been talking about it in the last week. we've got players like Kilmer, who was outstanding today. Jack Williams, I think Jack is better on an edge than as a middle forward.
But he's got
then
that.
You're talking about Gideon Katonga,
Yeah.
Charlie Geimer, Jordan Samrani, Will Latu. And then you've got Josiah Funa Iuta, who is like a phenomenal player.
The club are very bullish on his prospects. Yeah.
And then if we're looking at the middles, what do we got? Jack DeBellin, Luca Moretti, Hopgood,
Dory, Tuiviti.
Yep.
There's a couple other young players there that aren't quite ready to be thrown into the NRL calculations, like young Ryder Talangi, Tiankin Brown, and Damascus Nemia as well.
Tony Mattielli.
Tony Mattielli's much closer than them, yeah. So we've talked about this, Craig. It's such a greedy statement, such a ridiculous statement to say. I don't want to go out there and just sign another first grader anymore. Like we've got so many quality first graders and first grader plus players on the roster right now that are really responding to this coaching staff under Riles and Brown and Wisemantle and Moa. And what we need now is like a plus guy, like a real difference maker to elevate a positional group from being good to being great. I think that is the key for what I would consider a huge off-season success for the Parramatta Eels. You know, wherever, and like this is just me throwing names out there. It's not any indication of who we're chasing. But if you go out there and get a Kalol Matangi or obviously a Tino Fasu or Malawi, that is just at the apex of a recruitment type deal. Like if you can go get a Kalol Matangi or that kind of ilk of player, that is what I'm looking for now. And I know it's greedy and I know it's asking a lot from our recruitment staff, but there is such a marketable platform for Mark O'Neill and Jason Riles here based on the work that Riles and company have done this year. Like there will be teams and players looking at the Parramatta Eels and saying, yeah, they're on the ascent. They're going to be a threat. And we put the perfect statement game at the end of a fantastic run to put it all together, to weave together that potential sales pitch to whoever a prospective recruit is. The key is now converting that opportunity.
John, how do you rate the Eels' defence now?
I've been pretty bullish on the Eels' defence for most of the year. Like schematically, I've really liked what I've seen. And I don't know whether it's particular to Sam Moa, who I think is the defence coach, but maybe he handles more responsibilities. But I'll give credit to the entire coaching staff because no one man is an island in this case in terms of making an archipelago for the Eels' defence. But I really liked what I've seen the entire year in terms of how we line up, how we mark up and we cover. And most of our failures have been on the individual, just not executing a tackle or making an incorrect jam. I feel like it's been a market step up from recent years. And again, the only thing you look at there is just the real effort areas, like just constant aggression, channeling your line speed at the right times, knowing how to manipulate the ruck. They're the areas I want to see us really fine tune. And that's something that comes with bringing a team together, getting more experience under a coach, more faith in the systems as you learn to know when. And I know it sounds silly, but knowing when to cut corners is like the big secret in defense. Like someone like Cameron Smith would go out there and make 50 tackles a game when he played for the Melbourne Storm. But if you watch him, he was not chasing the ball here, and he was in the right position 2 tackles later because of it. And that's where I think our young team, defensively at least, need to know when they can cut the corners but not cheat and not sacrifice or compromise their defensive integrity because of it. So that just comes with experience and playing together. Yeah,
so I had the opportunity to speak with Sam Moa at training this week, and I said to him, you must be feeling pretty happy about how the Eels' defence has come along. And he said, yeah, he said, we got them where we want them now. Just wish the season was 4 or 5 weeks longer.
That is something we brought up, is that the Eels were a month behind the 8 ball when it came to this season. Like we saw, obviously, via your reports, a lot of great stuff and great work being done that eventually came to fruition. But if you could just roll back that season 4 or 5 weeks, like you and Sam said, the Eels are playing finals football. Like
yes,
even with the Mitchell Moses injury, they're playing finals football.
Yeah, and for people who weren't aware, I had, again, the opportunity to talk to Sam Tuiviti at training this week. And I just got him to reflect back on that first round because that was his debut game. And, of course, you probably didn't want to have a result like that in your debut game. But I said to him, when it's all happening like that out there on the field, have the players got a sense of what's going wrong for them, or is it the sort of thing where they're waiting for that video session to unfortunately highlight all the areas that are gone wrong? And he said for him it was just that they were also new to each other, and that as good as the training can be, it's still a big difference to get out there on the field in that first game. And I guess especially against a Storm side that just doesn't lose in the opening round. But yeah, they just didn't know each other. And really that comes down to things like, if you know the blokes that are playing alongside you out there, you don't need to worry about or wonder, what are they going to do in this situation? What are they going to do in that situation? You know it. And whether you know what they're going to do because the systems are embedded, or whether you know it because you actually know the bloke next to you and you communicate through the game because you know each other so well, or it's just second nature that, the bloke inside you or beside you is going to do A in this situation, going to do B in this situation, and then you know what you need to do as well. So there's a lot,
there's a lot of implicit trust and understanding that comes. It's not just rugby league. If anyone's worked in a team-based environment where you've got different responsibilities that intermesh, if you've got someone you know is going to do their portion of the work and you can trust them, it helps you do your part of the work too, doesn't it? And for the Parramatta Eels in the first few, 3, 4, 5 rounds, weren't quite there. And there's been times after that where things were out of kilter, the South Sydney game, that happens. But you really saw the growth of the team. And, I mean, John Rich makes a sort of roundabout great point here. And it sort of leads me to a question to you. If the NRL gave us Melbourne round 1 next year, would you take it? Would you want another shot at breaking the streak? Because I feel the way they've played, it'd be such a great litmus test to see where they were, at the start of round 1 this year to where they could be round 1 next year.
Yeah, you know what? I think I would, John. I don't think I'd hesitate with that. The other thing too, and I want to share this because this week was a good week to be able to get a little bit of interaction with the players and the coaches. And when the Eels were leaving the field from training, I think it might have been on Friday, and I called out to the Fox and I said, mate, we're going to get a double from you this week, right? And he smiled and he's about to answer, and then Jason Riles called out 3. Give me 3.
That actually makes me. Where did he finish up on the list?
Yeah, I was wondering the same myself. So yeah, it's
Surely
he's got a
16 must have been what he had coming into this round. He'd be on 19, so there would be a share of third with Xavier Coates and Daniel Tupou behind the hammer who went absolutely nuclear today before he got he did an MCL injury, unfortunately, and was just about to catch Mark Nwanganitawaze. 22 for the hammer, 23 for Mark.
Yes.
So MCL sprain there for the hammer, and hopefully he's okay for the tour. But the Fox right up there. What a year! I put a. I wasn't watching it. I want to stress this. I put the Matty John show on his radio for the car home, and he had a quick chat with the Fox, and they'll praise him for what was possibly his best year ever as an NRL player. And it's where does it stack up for the Fox? He has been so good this year. It might legitimately be up there for some of the best of his Melbourne times.
Well, I think there's a maturity about the Fox this year, John. Like he's still got that character that he's always going to have. But you know what? The moment that he gets out there on the training paddock, just on the field,
locks in. Yep. And that, like you said, that comes with maturity and just experience, doesn't it? Knowing when to be the class clown, the guy that makes everyone lighten up and laugh, and knowing when that you can then redirect that energy, like almost hyper focus it as a weapon to use on the field, and that's what he's done so well for us. So, and I think that he had an interview today earlier before the game. He wants to go after Irvine's record as well. He wants to try and pip Alex Johnson, who's got probably a few more years on him in terms of playing, but maybe Johnson's form won't keep him in the NRL. He's been dropping off a bit. I love the energy, the aspiration of that. Like, that's exactly what I want to see from a premier scoring winger, to go out there and say, no, I want to be up there past 200 tries. I want to go out there and start making records. And he's doing that.
Well, mate, another 2 years, and I'm sure he'll get to that 200. Next year, I'm expecting him to go to about 6th or 7th on the list of all-time try-scoring players.
Michael's in chat saying he's 10th overall historically now, so a chance to really climb those big rungs heading into 2026.
Yeah. Like a decent run of try-scoring next year, as I said, and next year he'll end up at the end of the season about 6th or 7th on the list. Not that I should say stuff like that and put the mock on.
Yeah, the legendary 60s mockers.
Like, it's special. What I can do in terms of destroying a career with too much praise or expectation.
Oh, Lord.
It's a unique ability, John.
It is. Neil's saying that Fox should be extended and put in the leadership group. I wouldn't be surprised if he's unofficially part of the leadership group. I know that he wasn't put there in the official press release media group that was there earlier this year, but there's no doubt that the players look to him as a leader. Hasn't got the C or the LG leadership group tag next to him, but he is one of the leaders of this group. And I mean, would you be surprised if there was an announcement of a 1 or 2 year extension on the 2026 deal he has the Parramatta Eels later this year?
Oh, no, not whatsoever. And I think on this site we should start pushing for it to happen, John. Absolutely, we should.
I mean, we know Jason Riles is a massive rapper of the Fox. He went out there and personally recruited him, having faith that he would turn things around from the error that he made at Canterbury that brought to an end to his time at Belmore, and he has certainly repaid the faith. So I'm all aboard it. I have to imagine that the two parties would be pretty keen to hammer out an extension. Yeah,
I'm seeing some pretty strange scenes, John. I've had some stuff being sent to me at the moment, and Yoko sent the scenes of the team song from the Eels.
You see the boys flexing up.
Yeah. And what is Junior carrying in that? It's a big sledgehammer.
Yeah, he had a sledgehammer in the change rooms. Yeah, you're right. I did see someone sending that to me. Someone's got Addo-Carr flexing, and they've got a swole kangaroo doing the same pose. You could almost superimpose them over it. Yeah, I think that win meant a lot to the boys. The third straight win, so a season high there, 10 wins on the season. That is an important metric. Like, it is an arbitrary metric, but they're the sort of things that you assign to a season like this, where you're not going to play finals football, so you've got to set achievable goals. 10 wins, a win streak of 3, a season high of points 66. Like, what as we mentioned, not going full circle, the perfect 180 from round 1 to round 27.
Yeah,
Triple H impression for sure.
John, I'm keen for any of those one-liners or quick statements that have been made in chat about today's game or about the season as a whole.
I've been tracking 3-2-1, so don't need to give them to me unless you haven't posted yet. But if anyone's got a way they want to wrap up their take on the game or the season, and we will do more seasonal breakdown content, that's definitely on the docket, and we're hoping to line up another great guest for that sort of thing. But I did see a great comment there from, where was it? Well, Matt Milford said that you need to start putting the mock on rivals rather than our boys and girls. And I think I'm not sure that's how your powers work, but that would be a great thing to do. You need to start.
John, I worked on it the other week when I think it was when the Panthers were playing the Raiders. The Raiders made that comeback. And so I declared openly as I'm watching it, and it was only to Yoko, but I said, there is no chance the Raiders will come back. The Panthers don't let those sort of leads slip. And I was deliberately trying to flex on the universe. So, and it worked. So let's see how it goes. Maybe I'll start putting a bit of coin on teams that I want to lose next year.
Well, that's one of our co-founders, Mitch, sort of had the same system to Parramatta Eels. He bet on the opposition. So if they won, he'd get a payout. But if they lost, he could say that he funded their loss. So it worked out pretty.
I'm pretty sure there was a year where Mitch was able to buy a car.
Yes, he had a very lucrative year on a year we underperformed. Yes, and our opposition managed to take advantage of that. Some great comments about the junior footage. Neil Ross saying he's doing his Triple H impression. John Rich, the resident multi-better, with the great success on the nudie runners, saying that someone owned June's money. Maybe it was Charlie. Maybe that's why he passed the ball to him. getting off the money owers list there. Paul wants to see Riley talk more next year. Yeah, that's the sort of thing that'll come as he matures as a player and finds his role within the team. I think that'll be one of the big steps for him, Craig, is knowing when to take control of the team. And it's going to be hard because you got Mitchell Moses there, and there are going to be times where you need to overcall Mitchell Moses. But when you do that, you got to make sure you're right, as Talon D'Silva found out earlier this year. But that'll be part of his growth there. Chris Hill saying he was glowing about the way the club and fans have embraced him. That was in regards to the Fox, right, Chris? I think that he's really fed off the energy that fans have given him. And again, talking about reverberating and reciprocating, he has been all about that. What else we got there? Dave signed off. He's going to drive home. Safe trip there, mate. Gallagher was saying that Russell has unlocked the Fox. And, yeah, that relationship has grown, hasn't it? There were times earlier in this year where Russell wouldn't pull the trigger on a pass to the Fox. And now we saw him today, and I know it's Newcastle, but how confident they were playing the ball on the other sideline, getting the Fox back in field. You'd see Russell pushing up in support for Fox when he had back in field as well. Really, really good combination there. And, yeah, Russell is definitely the presumptive opening round centre now. Obviously, there's going to be pending recruitment and the battle for spots in the preseason, but he has put his best foot forwards this year, and that's really encouraging. And I think, again, maybe something that's going to influence some recruitment. Like, not to say the Eels won't bolster their backline depth, Craig, but if someone like Russell takes that kind of step in year one of Jason Ryall's tenure, I imagine that will still project more growth for him. Not explosive growth, but there are still things that he could round out and improve on.
Yep. John, let's hit the 3-2-1s before we wrap things up with a bit of a quick chat about the NRLW result today as well.
Hang on, I've just got a few more to get in there. I can actually save these ones here. Okay, so the legacy 3-2-1s that happened way back in the podcast, we'll start with Mitchie. He's been popping up in chat and having some good comments. He mentioned that, I didn't see it, but apparently Dom Young's dreadlocks were on the touchline at one point, so I have to go back and catch that one there. He's gone for the captain, Mitch Moses, for his free. Jack Williams and Will Penasini for his 2 and 1 respectively. Dave, who just left the chat, said 3 for Moses, 2 for Junior, 1 for Riley. Jason Newman, 3 for Moses, 2 for the Fox, 1 for Lomax. He gives shout-outs to Hopgood, Barlaw and Williams. Chris Hill, 3 for the Fox on the run, 2 for Moses part in the Red and Blue Sea, and 1 for Junior, looking surprised and delighted. Yeah, he got a bit of a gift there from Charlie. Josh, he goes, what do I do if he gets my one? I've missed your one. Okay, there we go. I understand the context of that comment back there. You're responding to someone else. So you went Moses 3, Williams 2, and the Fox 1, saying the Fox gets my 1. Okay. Rachel went for 3 for Mitch, 2 for the Fox, 1 for Parlo. Then we got the BGA Army podcast, or BGA podcast, sorry. Blue God Army podcast. That's like saying a PIN number.
Blue God Army.
Yeah, a PIN number or an ATM machine or a chai tea. So he's gone 3 for Moses, 2 for Addo-Carr, 1 for Brown. Rick Perino saying he's going 3 for Moses, 2 for the Fox, 1 for Lomax. A great comment from Chris E. 3 for John and Craig for another season, 2 for the sponsors, and 1 for all the listeners. I think we'll probably elevate the listeners to 3 points on that one there. They've been fantastic this year.
Yeah, of course.
Andrew Collier, 3 for Moses, so a bit of a theme here. 2 for the Fox, 1 for Smith. Neil Ross, 3 for Moses, 2 for the Fox, 1 for Smith. And then just going now to the ones that were currently in chat. Let me just round up here. We've got so Neil Ross. So Neil Ross is the last one there. So Chris is saying 3 for Riles or Riley? Because, I mean, the coach can get points. 2 for Moses and 1 for the blue train. Yes, we didn't have a trainer gate there, thankfully, but good work from the training staff. Jamie, 3 for Moses, 2 for the Fox, 1 for Smith. Pete T reciprocating that one there. Alex Wallace saying 3 for Moses, 2 for Smith, 1 for the Fox. Alan Jennings, 3 for Moses, 2 for Jack, 1 for Riley. That's pretty consistent, that block there. Kick saying 3 for Moses, 2 for the Fox, 1 for Riley. Us, Michael Byrne, slightly different. 3 for Moses, 2 for the Fox, 1 for Jack Williams. And we've got last few here. Brent, 3 for Moses, 2 for the Fox, 1 for Barlaw. Matt Milford saying 3 for Moses, 2 for Williams, 1 for the Fox. And Carl and Mike are there as well, sorry. Carl saying 3 for Mitch, 2 for Zach, 1 for Junes. Mike saying 3 for Mitch, 2 for Riley, 1 for Williams. I don't think there's a bad set of votes among all of them there. Lots of worthy voters, Craig. And I look, my 3 points is super easy today. Like, Mitchell Moses was on another planet. But I don't know what to do about the 2 and the 1. The Fox, Williams, Barlaw, I don't know. I'll start off with your three. Who have you got for the big points?
Oh, that's easy again. Mitch Moses. And you know what? Like, all those people that you mentioned could easily get the points. I like being able to give points to forwards. Williams, Junior Paulo, have to mention them. Both wingers, absolutely outstanding. But
Iongi didn't get points. He was fantastic today.
Yep. So this is what I'm doing. So 3 for Mitch Moses. I'm going to go with the spine. 3 for Mitch Moses, 2 for Iongi, 1 for Riley Smith.
I like it.
The work that Iongi did out the back was just phenomenal. It's just the way he can recover from positions where it looks like he's being smashed by kick chasers or what have you, and he seems to bounce out of tackles and gets the team onto the front foot. Riley Smith, as I said to you, John, I thought we fell out of rhythm when he was replaced, and that's not putting down Talon D'Silva in any way, shape, or form. I just think that the rhythm was so good when Riley was out there, and it took Talon a little while to get that pace of the game and to find his feet. And when he did, he had a great finish to the game.
He was electric in that final 15 minutes, but there was definitely a lull when he came on. That I know some people are a little bit pressed about it, and maybe there will be long-term concerns, but I'm still really happy to see what we've seen from Talon in terms of the heads-up attacking football, running out of dummy half. And I really want to see what he can do once he's been properly integrated into the system under Riles and company.
Yeah, I have no concerns, John, because I think a pre-season is going to make the world of difference in terms of, it literally is getting to know the team. The simplest example I can give of that is watching Nathan Brown work with the dummy halves during the pre-season.
Yeah.
And he was emphasising to them that it's up to them to get to know the players that they're playing with and where they like to receive the ball when the ball's passed to them. There'll be ones that, might like the ball a bit higher, a bit lower. There might be those that like to get the ball nice and flat, and those that like to get it with a bit of depth.
One little thing I'm a little bit curious about is whether Talon has a chance to sit down and really pick the brains of I literally had him in my head, Josh Hodgson, who is quite a similar player in terms of their play style, loved getting out of dummy half and being aggressive, and maybe Hodgson can really give him the tips on when, like I said, Dylan Walker, oftentimes the sign of a quality player is when they don't pull the trigger as opposed to when they just pull the trigger. It's easy to get out of dummy half and be aggressive and make some meters, but there'll be times where making the 15 meters might be detrimental to an opportunity to develop your right edge play or your left edge play and attack a weakness elsewhere. So I feel like if he can really get in sync with what Hodgson can bring there, alongside what Nathan Brown has, with a more macro scope of how to play dummy half, there could be a lot of growth there for Talon. So yeah, really good times there.
Yeah. So anyway, I've gone the spine. So your 2 and John.
Chat, I think, had a lot of great points in their 3-2-1s. I loved the Fox and Williams inclusions. I see, Lomax as well. Lomax 13 tackle breaks, 212 meters.
It's insane. I can't believe I didn't give him any points. What he did was, it was crazy. Like, those numbers were just insane. How did I ignore him for points? I don't know. I don't know my stuff. It's as simple as that.
I mean, that's the problem when you have such a great win, isn't it? Just so many quality players are going to miss out. So I will go Mitch for 3 points. He was, like I said, on another level this in the round 27. I will go Lomax my 2, just because 13 tackle breaks, some great involvements, 212 meters. He was great in the air. The only thing he didn't do was technically score a try off a kick, but beyond that, he gave Will. I know it was a hard chance, but he gave Will a chance with the big flick back off the take in the first half, and really good. And I'll book just by virtue of, I think, in a season where Jason Riles culled, and dead weight's not the right word, but he culled a lot of the excess of the Eels to remold them into a different vision. and we saw so many tenured players and core players of the Brad Arthur era depart. Junior Barlow finished this season on a real bang, I think, and that was a. I know he got a gimme try from Charlie Geimer, but the lead up work for the Dylan Brown try, fantastic work throughout the game. There was a couple of absolutely bone crunching hits too, which have become a real trademark this year, and he's adapted to his game, Craig.
Yes.
Start of the season, we saw a couple of those throwback monster efforts from Junior, where he put on 200 meters a game, big tackles, big impact, and as the team grew, as players found their feet under Jason Ryall's vision, he was able to adapt his role, and not a lot of players can do that. It is not easy going from being like a Type A player to a Type B in this case, and he's done a really good job transitioning to a Type B player. He still makes splashy involvements across the park, but it's almost been a case of less is more for Junior, and today we saw more is more as he sort of dipped his toes back into that Type A pool, and I think he deserves the 1 point from me. And geez, I'm overlooking some fantastic players, Hopgood and Riley, Kelmer and Jack Williams. I saw someone give Dylan Walker a split point there as well. I don't know. I think you can be equally supportive and critical of everyone's 3-2-1s today because there are so many players worthy.
John, I think that just about wraps up the NRL side of this discussion. We should mention some lower grade results before we finish with the NRLW.
Yeah, so we'll quickly do the rounds in the lower grades, starting with the other result today in the Harvard Women's Premiership. Good win for the Parramatta Eels, Craig. They were taking on the winless Dragons, so we did tip them to win and win comfortably. They did exactly that, and the scoreboard actually not reflective of how dominant they were. 5 tries to 1, but only the 1 goal from Tegan Long this week. So a 22-4 victory over the St. George Dragons, not the St. George Illawarra Dragons, because the Steelers are in this competition. Tries the Liardi, Faye, Sufan, Kennedy, and Makira. The sole conversion there from Tegan Long. But the win, and that was the Eels, I believe, 8th straight win, Craig, if I'm not mistaken. Is that what we had on the board? Let me just double check this. The 8th straight win lifts them into outright second now. So they've really done fantastically well to put themselves into second place with just 1 week in the regular season remaining, and they will.
Yeah, a little bit. My feedback: we didn't get a chance to watch it because we had our 2:00 appearance in the leagues club. Our live appearance. It's just impossible to get to a 12:00 kickoff game and then be down, parked, set up, ready to go in the leagues club at 2:00. So we rely on a bit of feedback from those who are at the ground or those who
I see Chris in chat saying they were pretty scrappy and didn't have the fluency that they've had in recent weeks. But you still find a way to win. That's the important thing. And in doing so, the Eels have guaranteed that they will play finals football and potentially finishing in the pretty high up in the brackets for what will be. Oh, it's only a top 4, isn't it? Is it a top 4? Is it like the NRLW?
It is only a top 4. It's a 2-week final.
NRLW's top 6 now.
1 versus 4, 2 versus 3.
Yeah. Tigers haven't finished ahead of Parramatta since 2018. Chris Ricketts bringing the important facts to the chat. Good to see you, mate.
Yeah.
Hopefully you enjoyed the big win there. Shame we couldn't get you out to CommBank today. I know you're kind of a few kilometres away. You would have loved the atmosphere today, mate. It was right in your wheelhouse. So that was the lone win from the lower grades, Craig, in what was otherwise a pretty poor, sad day for the Eels, with the Jersey Flegg, unfortunately, going down in an elimination final to the Penrith Panthers, 32-12 out at Jubilee Stadium. This one was played late in the afternoon, 4:00 kickoff. I covered this one, you covered the Cup, and we talked about it in our preview podcast. We talked about it in the Team List, the Tuesday News podcast. The only thing that would stop the Parramatta Eels this year in the Jersey Flegg was themselves. Lo and behold, I don't think Paul Moe-Almadine's had a worse game for the Parramatta Eels. Had the absolute yips under the high ball. He wasn't alone there. There were errors from players across the park, and about 4 or 5 of those errors led directly to tries to the Penrith Panthers, mate. And the Panthers, to their credit, they didn't go out, didn't play silly football, just seizing the opportunities the Eels gave them, and were able to turn that into an avalanche of points in the first half. They went into the halftime break up 24-0, I believe, and the Eels just could not get a foothold in the game. Were a chance of sparking a comeback early in the second half with tries to Stevenson, Haller, and Hunter, but then couldn't get that critical third try. I think if you gotten that third try to follow up that sequence there, the Panthers would have been proper rattled. And
they were getting close. They were getting close to that third try too, John.
Yes, they were getting close. Chris is saying that we're not secure right now in the Harvard Women's Premiership. We have it's a top 4 or top 5. That's why maybe I'm getting confused here. Let me just double check this, Chris. So just to confirm, We're on 16. Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right. There are for and against could be a factor here too. So, yeah, we're not secure. We do have to win. So, sorry about that, mate. Thank you for pulling me up on that one. But, yeah, unfortunately with the Flegg, just one of their worst performances of the season. And they just were pressing, silly mistakes, and not being tidy when they had the ball in hand, attacking the goal line early on. And poor Bo Lucian had the ball knocked out of his grasp in what would have been a pretty important try in the first half. I think it was Jackson Edgar, who had a great game for the Panthers at fullback, that knocked the ball free. They'll be left to, and I know you've heard some of the feedback from the squad there. They will lament the missed opportunities this year. Like they could have easily taken the title out.
Yeah, and it's going to be doubly hard for any of the SG ball players who
felt the pain of that,
missed out, felt the pain of the grand final loss, and now have felt the pain of another finals loss. So, unfortunately as well, the New South Wales Cup team went down. It was a little bit closer.
The importance of giving yourself a second bite of the cherry, though. Parramatta Eels played better than their Flegg counterparts in the New South Wales Cup, but were not near their best. Went down 24-18 against a pretty good Dragons outfit. I thought that the halves for the Dragons were very good. Jonah Glover and Lachlan Ilias were pretty important in being the difference between the two teams. But Eels...
Cody Ramsey was
very good at fullback too, I agree. Eels, did not play their best football. I think Upper Title spent some time in the bin in this one. Did he? No, that was the week before.
No.
They just played ordinary football defensively. Look, they weren't far off the pace, and they had a great run at the end to nearly get back into it. I thought that in that final 13, 15-minute sequence, that Volkman and Talatana really came to life and were working together fantastically. There was a nice little outside-inside set piece from a scrum. We saw that earlier in the year at Kellyville that put Lorenzo over. They executed perfectly again. And then almost at the death was usually when a team's chasing that final try for like a minute on the clock, they get all hectic and patchy and do a shit kick. That was a really good kick between Volkman and Lorenzo. Like it perfectly pulled Ramsey away and gave Lorenzo a chance to get the ball back and couldn't quite find support. And the importance of this one is they got a second bite of the cherry by finishing in the 2 and 3 slots. And we'll meet, is it the Canberra Raiders they play now?
Yes.
Meet the Canberra Raiders next week. So,
and what will be interesting on will be which Eels players that have been playing first grade will be eligible. Now, we've tried to work it out ourselves. But
maybe Chris can give us some insights on this one because it is a little bit confusing between the players that met the 8-game threshold versus guys that were eligible in spite of not playing 8 games. We know that Jordan Samrani meets the threshold. Joash Papali does meet the threshold, but Jason Riles confirmed this week that Joash will undergo some tidy-up work on his hand. So he won't be playing in the New South Wales Cup finals. I'm just trying to think who else was there. Chris, we know how much you guys love Leichhardt Oval. Yeah, the finals will be hosted at Leichhardt next week. So yes, Craig's little growl and scowl does a lot of speaking without words there. I'm just trying to think who else they get back.
I just don't know why they want to play the games there. I mean, it's, to be honest, I'd much rather see the games played at St Mary's or somewhere like that.
Yeah.
Than Leichhardt, because the parking, the transport, it's a mess. It's a mess out there. But anyway, I guess they might say the facilities are a bit better at Leichhardt than St Mary's, but I think that's even debatable.
That is definitely up in the air. I think we looked at him last time. Did he meet? No, he's only played 5 games. Yeah, okay. So we'll have to, Chris saying he doesn't think the cup team will change much. Yeah, we do need one more game to get Willenry back for what would be the grand final qualifier. He does not, he's not eligible for this game this coming week because of a 2-game suspension. So if they want to, I'm pretty certain they can throw Jordan Samrani back into the mix. Yeah, Leichhardt's a lot cheaper. That would be a big factor in it for sure. So I would imagine Jordan Samrani's back in the mix next week. And he might turn out in the centres because that backline's been a little bit skinny in recent weeks. And they probably like the back rolls they got there. But be interesting to see what team turns out on the Tuesday team list, which will also feature the HNWP and the NRLW. It'll be only 3 games, only 3 team lists in the docket. because of the Flegg unfortunately bowing out. But yeah, still plenty to cover on Team West Tuesday. And that wraps up the lower grade action, which brings us to the other game at CommBank tonight. And probably I had a lot of fun with the NRL, mate. This one was probably the biggest pleasant surprise of the weekend.
Yeah, 38-4, the Eels over the West Tigers. It was, look, the West Tigers, they've basically wrapped up the wooden spoon as a result of that loss tonight.
It's like a Game of Thrones. There must always be a spoon at Balmain.
As much as the Eels improved markedly and played some bright attacking football, the West Tigers were equally atrocious. Yes. So the Eels had a lot for us to like, and we've been concerned about the lack of point scoring that was there in Parramatta's play. We cannot complain about that tonight. To see 38 points scored, they probably left some points out there on the board, out on the field, just like the NRL did. But we had much better performance from Mahalia Murphy. We're a little bit concerned about her form line coming into this game. Well, she was playing like we know that she can. I really enjoyed the lines that she was running. Martha Matteelli, 3 tries, probably should have got 4 or 5, but she is dynamic, John. She's a powerhouse. From the moment that we saw her in the first trial that the Eels played, we knew she was going to be a handful.
The secret really was all along is get the ball to Matteelli.
Yeah, absolutely. And we were a little bit concerned about how the Eels would go without Elsie Albert tonight.
Yeah, and a lot of the young girls stepped up and had really good games.
Absolutely, and we have to give credit to first of all to Fontaine Tufunga, who is a rising star, played in the Tarsha Gale this year, but it was her first year in the Tarsha Gale, so she's
they caught her 19 on coverage. She's not 19. She was first year Tarsha Gale. Yeah. So River Lee is 19, Tess McWilliams is 19, both of whom were very good off the interchange. And look, that bench, it was a trio of development prospects of the Eels, wasn't it? Tess, River Lee, and Fontaine all had really good games. You know what really pleased me about Matteelli, Craig, today? And, we knew she was a powerhouse. We knew she was a tackle buster, and she did all that. She could have had about 6 tries, by the way. She was hunting that Hattie so desperately and couldn't quite get that final try until at the end. But her aerial prowess, she was really good on the high ball today. Really, really good. So that was a really nice string to her bow that was added this week. And, I say this week, she scored in some of those blowout losses. It was a crossfield kick to Matteelli that was actually like the go-to scoring play to stop the shutout. She's been a great pickup. She's such a throwback player too that we still see the powerhouse winger in the modern male game, but like those wrecking ball wingers that are almost second rollers as much as they are wingers in terms of how powerful they are, they've become not a dying breed in the NRL, but because the NRL athletic profile for a winger is just ridiculous these days, they do everything. You don't see as many of the actual bulldozers like her. So a great throwback player. I feel like she could really become maybe a cult hero is not the right word, but just like a rallying point for fans in the NRLW.
She got deceptive speed, John, as she showed in that drive.
She does, yeah.
It looks like she's not moving fast, but she is.
And there was also a kick return that she went for about 40 or 50 metres. I think Abby Church fed her a nice little short ball. And just the cover defenders, they were just staying pace with her, not closing in on her until they bracketed her from all angles. So, yeah, great player. A great bounce-back game from Mahalia Murphy too. She scored a couple of tries. Kendi was everywhere as usual. I thought Rachel Pearson had her best game in some while, and Rosemary Beckett was a great deputy to her as well. So, vastly improved effort from our girls. And Abby Church, awesome at the back. We called for her to be more involved in attack, like not from it's been her fault, but as a team sort of lens, getting her more involved from the top down. And I think that we really saw that this week, that she was better integrated. We saw a lot more aggressive intent on kick returns and how she sort of brought in Matteelli and Takarangi as well. And for Kiana Takarangi, what a great moment, Craig. We mentioned in the pre-game, I think we mentioned earlier in the week too, we're all over that bit of trivia about the first father, son and daughter trio to play for the NRL and NRLW. She also had the try. So also the first father, son and daughter trio to score tries for the NRL/NRLW. So great to see her do well on her club debut, and she's probably not going to get dropped. She had a decent game.
Yeah, John, let's give you 3, 2, 1s here for this game.
I mean, I sort of caught her out. Again, I hate when I use that phrasing. I sort of called upon her to step up and be more integrated. Abby Church was awesome, mate. And I know it's a bit like Mitchell Moses in terms of the 3 points, and you can maybe look the other way sometimes, but I thought she had a fantastic game at fullback, defensively as much as attack. Yeah,
it's impossible to argue there. She looked a lot more like the Abby Church that we come to know.
Yes.
There was almost, I don't know, there was maybe a sense of frustration that maybe she was showing in the games up to now. It just wasn't quite happening for her. It wasn't through lack of effort. It was just, it wasn't quite happening. Tonight that it is, she was dynamic, easily the 3 points there. I thought the 2 points could easily go, and I would go to Kennedy Cherrington. I just thought she was a real powerhouse tonight. And my 1 point, this one's really, really tough. I'm tempted, John, to go with Martha. I think it's impossible to ignore what she did tonight with the 3 tries. And it wasn't just 3 tries. It was the work that she was doing in yardage. So, yeah, 1 point there to Martha.
Yeah, my 2 points, I go for the Hattie Hero. It's always an easy, like sort of 2 points when someone scores a treble, plus also puts some big meters on the ground. And my 1 point, I probably should give it to Kennedy, but since you gave her multiple points, I'll go Tess McWilliams, because I thought she was solid on the ground and was an absolute sledgehammer in defense, mate. There was a number of absolutely crunching hits she put on, and she's
maybe she was borrowing Junior's sledgehammer.
Yeah, maybe bit of a Triple H X2 there. I just feel, look, in Williams, Arlo, and Tafua, and we've been very high on all 3 of them throughout the junior rep cycle into HNWP and NRLW. I think the Eels are really sitting on a very good trio of forwards, Craig, and I think that they're going to progress like fast and hard and really come on and be, I hope, the cornerstone for a dominant pack. And McWilliams just has an edge to how she plays that it just reminds me of like the NRL enforcers. And you don't see that too often in the NRLW. And I think that's going to be a real difference maker for the pack if she can harness that edge. And whenever you talk about enforcers, there's always that fine line you got to straddle between delivering justice with the big hits and the aggression and then getting penalised out of the game. And I think that Tess, if she can hone that, she could be a huge building block for the Eels in the front row.
Yeah, look, I agree. And I think the one that I really want people to watch coming out of the Harvey Norman is Collier Gray. I reckon she's got something extra she's just a great 13, plays a good link role. And I know that we've got Kennedy in the 13 that's there. And maybe it might be that she'll eventually get her start as an interchange maybe sometime next year. But she's certainly one for the Eels supporters to keep an eye on.
We do have 3 2-1s from chat as well, which is good to see.
Yeah.
Chris Hill got in first. He's gone with Matt Haley for his 3, Ruben for 2, and Tess McWilliams 1. Yeah, Ruben had a good game as well. Yeah. I didn't mention her in the points, but she's had a really good breakout year. And I don't know what the international cycle is for the women this year, but she'd be a pretty good chance of cracking. Well, what's her eligibility? Is she dual eligible in New Zealand, Australia?
So she's, well, I think probably if she's like Kennedy, then would have like Kennedy's declared her allegiance.
You have to. That's right. You have to throw an allegiance one way, but I don't know if Ruben has declared yet. But she should surely in the mix for some rep teams. Australia might be a bit tougher to crack, but be right up there. And we got next set of points coming from Neil, who's had 3 from Alpha as well, 2 for Tess and 1 for Arlo. Good set of points as well. And then, Sirix had 3 for Martha Mattelli, 2 for Tess McWilliams, and 1 for Chloe Jackson, your girl, who has won back her starting berth on the edge. And I don't think she's going to give it back, Craig. Probably unlikely to get, I say, benched. I think George Arles is just trying to find a way to integrate all of his talented forwards. But Chloe, you talk about you mentioned Kylie Gray, sorry, and I was talking about Tess, and then the other two in Arlo and Tafua. Chloe's another one of those point of difference forwards, isn't she? Just bring something different to the equation with her footwork and ability to beat the first defender.
I've got to say, great leg speed.
Yes.
Great leg speed.
I think I've mentioned in the past, but her NRL equivalent would be probably closest to Cam Murray, with the ability to just use that leg speed to create opportunities on the edges. And obviously not a one-to-one comparison, but that's why I felt like the comp was there. And she's had a very good year. So,
any other 3-2-1s from chat?
Not that I've seen, but if anyone wants to get him in here quickly. Neil Ross is asking a pertinent question. Do we know the specifics of Elsie's injury? Is she out next week? Because I actually wasn't aware of Elsie being injured until I checked the team list for the pre-game show. Do we know the specifics or the mechanics of the injury?
I don't think I've seen anything on the injury. I just saw her whilst the Eels were training yesterday with the captain's run. She was on an exercise bike on the veranda, working hard on that. But not sure what it is, John, to be honest. They've still got a chance to make finals football.
They still have a chance, yes. So it's going to be predicated on the Canberra Raiders upsetting the Titans, I think. Let me just quickly check this. Eels in 7th, Titans in 6th. So Parramatta play the 8th place Bulldogs and the Titans play the 11th place Raiders. So it's not ideal, but let's look at venues. Speaking of venues, the Eels play Friday 5:40 at CommBank next week.
We'll send a message to the club. First of all, I think maybe something similar where a paying adult gets to take a child for free. Secondly, maybe a message to the leagues club, and the Eels can maybe work with it. Let's not have match day parking fees. Just have it.
Get people in. I agree.
Get people in.
What happens next week is the Eels will play on Friday, and they will go into that game not knowing their fate. So they need to secure a good win against the Bulldogs. Because if I just check the ladder here, the Eels, they need a pretty healthy win. And the Titans need to have a pretty solid loss against the Canberra Raiders, who they host on Saturday. So their fate is not in their own hands here, but they can still, at the very least, finish the season with a bang and put themselves in the mix for finals, which is the minimum you can ask for in a season. But obviously the standard we want to see from our girls is a fair bit higher than that. But that is how it breaks. We do have another 3-2-1 in chat from Alex, who says 3 for Pearson, 2 for Martha, and 1 for Church. Yep, solid set of points. The Eels really needed a bounce-back game from Rachel Pearson, and she delivered in spades tonight. And that the problem for Rachel is you can't ask for her to be the best player on the field every week, but that needs to be closer to her standard for the Eels in terms of taking control of the game, but she did very well tonight. Neil had a good bit of commentary there saying Boss is doing a solid job in the middle, lets Jackson start again, and then filling at 9 when Ruben has a breather. Yeah, it was interesting seeing Jackson playing that backup dummy half role there. Obviously with Steve sort of plumping for the 4-forward bench means you need to find a way to spell dummy half if you need to. And Chloe's got that versatility to her game. If she can work on her passes across the preseason off the deck, she'll probably end up being a pretty handy and sort of pseudo-emergency utility dummy half option.
Yeah, I think it worked. I think it worked tonight, and I'm expecting it to be the same next week.
Chris Hill's updated us on the Albert injury, apparently, and good work from his wife, actually. Well done to Mrs. Hill, saying that it was an ankle injury from the hip drop tackle the previous week. So, they're always tough to recover from. So, I'm hoping she's fit for next week. But if it's hip drops involved, that usually means the dreaded S word, doesn't it? With syndesmosis. Yep. So, I have to wait and see.
Yep. Okay. Well, John, I think that just about wraps things up. Thank you to everyone in chat for being there tonight. We've gone a little bit longer than we like to normally with the instant reaction, but there was so much needed to talk about. Please remember that there is no off-season with the Cumberland Throw. So we'll be continuing with the podcasts. There's always plenty for us to talk about, especially we've got the final series. Then we've got the Pacific tests. We've got anything that comes up during the off-season, pre-season with the Eels. As we roll into pre-season training commencing, I'll be talking a little bit about that as well as doing the pre-season training reports. We've got a sequence of special interest podcasts that that Chris Ricketts and John will be working on, and I think the plan is they want to make me the subject of a couple of those. So I'm a bit not so keen to be the subject of a podcast, but we'll see what eventuates from that. Look, I think that's just about it. Thank you to Star Partners Real Estate, Auburn, Narellan and Parramatta. It was so great to see Greg down there at Sturlow's coming in, having a chat with us before we started the podcast. Obviously, as well, thanks to Parramatta Leagues Club, the home of the Eels. It's been great to be in Sturlow's this year. The group of people that were there in Sturlow's this afternoon, absolutely outstanding. We had a blast there. Lots of interaction with everyone there. And, really looking forward to being back there next year for more of the same, John.
Yep.
Thank you, mate. Thanks to everyone who is about to listen to this maybe on delay.
On the replay or on delay, exactly. We do appreciate
on
all
one
the
of the other platforms.
We love our live stream chatters, but we also love all the listeners on the other platforms too. So thank you, one and all.
Yep. So again, thank you for a great 2025. Don't go anywhere.
We're not done. We're not done.
But
yeah.
For a great 2025 NRL season, we've got so much more to cover. But we want to thank you for being there for all the live podcasts. And John, as I always say, go you mighty Eels. 66-10.